Testing one, two. Testing one, two. Testing one, two. Testing one, two, 1, 2. Testing one, two. Testing one, two. There's a lot of people coming.
1, 2.
Testing one, two. Echo is too strong. Comments to the program. Jazakallah. As they say in a masjid, complete the rows before yours. So if you can kindly come forward, all those sitting on the right hand side, could you please fill in the chairs of occupy the space in front of you, mashallah. So that those who are coming afterwards, at least they have some space to sit. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
There's no one here that's radio, Ken. There's no one here that's radio, Ken. You know, unfortunately, we've got 11 Muslim councillors in total, which is a very good thing. We're trying to up our tally in Pretoria. But alhamdulillah, at least in total, I'm able to make some time. And your guys also Muslim guy, isn't it? Yeah, good. Musa. Kuruleni, we got Hasina, but she's going to Parliament now, so I don't know who's going to replace her. So what councillor? Which one? Hasina Ismail. She told me she was battling to find it, but she's from the east end.
ITV, can you start?
I actually told our global leadership that people must be out in the streets doing door-to-door. But it's true. You know, I don't want the bureaucracy. I hope it's going to be a cordial debate. I tell you when it gets rough is when you've got like 10 people on a panel.
Oh,
I said, I hope it's going to be a cordial debate. When you've got about 10 people, then it's
You
rough.
fight for survival.
Then it's sink or swim.
no, we,
And if it's in Cape Town.
if it's Cape Town, yeah.
Because, Portsburg is also a
you
bit
know, good only has this bus that takes its people with pat all over, not on the ground.
But what happened in that one where they said they were eating with chairs and stuff?
No, that was the Houtbay one.
Yeah, but that was good. That wasn't us.
Good, no?
They started that fight. Our people were sitting there. But Patricia, she stirs up that narrow.
She tries to like
Yeah, she rides on that,
scratch, no?
that narrow colored nationalism. It's actually very bad for our politics. She, ACT, all these echoes, all of these little parties.
But I see Al Jamal's doing the same thing now.
Yeah, no,
It's very bad.
In fact, I've started ignoring Hanif just
Oh, no, he's
completely
there.
because I can't. I said I'm not going to. I said you,
No, no.
you can't as a.
Oh,
as
that's
a,
fine. Keep it like that.
Showing it to the EFF.
We're gonna put a face up there one day, decent one.
When you guys are in coalition, no?
No, there will be no coalition. Will we in a coalition with the DA?
No. But
Exactly.
today says you're either going to coalition with the ANC.
No, no. What we're gonna do, we're gonna collapse the whole ANC into the EFF.
It's very ambitious.
I'm sure you've got a third of our people's sympathies already.
Look, they say Garrison, what's his name? Garrison also says there's a 5% that is moving between the ANC and the EFF. And that could be a major.
They should rather sit at
factor.
home, no? But 5% should rather sit at
No,
home.
no, they must go to the polls. They must go and vote to EFF. That could be.
We're just waiting for ITV to give us the go-ahead, and as soon as they give us the signal, we'll start with the program. In the meanwhile, the bathroom facilities are on the right-hand side. That's my right and your left. And the exits are also on both sides for those of you who are looking to go out of the hall during the program. We'll just go through some of the ground rules before we start off with the program officially. At all times, kindly adhere to the decorum of the sit-in and also please show respect for one another. We will give each one an opportunity to respond to the questions posed, and whilst our panelists are answering the question, we will ask you to kindly give them uninterrupted time to respond to the question. Once they have given their response, then you can always interject, or you could always ask your follow-up question from the floor. Whilst the panelists are also speaking, we'll ask you not to interject, we'll ask you not to boo or shout or make any form of noise, for this will become difficult for us to then contain the program. We'll also ask you to, are we ready? Oh, still not ready, okay. No vulgar or derogatory language to be used in the forum today, and no personal insults. We'll also ask everyone to maintain the respect for one another. And we'll give you the time, inshallah, to applaud. We'll give you the time to cheer, to do whatever you want to do after the round is completed. And if the presenter feels that he needs to interject in between, if he feels the panelists are not answering the question and they're not sticking to the line of questioning, he will interject and bring him back onto point and hold him to the question, inshallah. So this is in ejecting you from the room and removing you from the premises. With that being said, we thank you very much for coming out this morning, and we hope we have a fruitful discussion, and we hope that we can unpack some of the ended. For these are opportunities which are. Ready? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning and welcome to Radio Islam's debate here taking place in Lenasia. It can only be the ANC, I think. Can we ask them to settle down, please?
That's the ANC. That's not our side.
They didn't get the memo, man.
Could you kindly settle down, please? The program has commenced. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Could you kindly settle down? We'll give you 2 minutes. And welcome to Radio Islam's election debate taking place here in Lenasia. On Wednesday, the 8th of May, South Africans will head to the polls to cast their vote in the upcoming elections. Many voters are still undecided. Many voters are still wrestling with the decision on who to vote for in the upcoming elections. Therefore, Radio Islam, over the last 2 months, have been covering various aspects pertaining to the election. We ran a 9-part series on air covering the elections, titled Election for Dummies. We have looked at the different role players in the election, the SAPs, the IEC, the party, and many other role players as far as the elections are concerned. We also unpacked the manifestos of the leading parties. We have got expert analysts to come on board to explain to us what the parties are talking about and to provide context with regards to the manifestos and what they are campaigning for. We also had a number of on-air debates where we brought on the leading parties and we put them against each other, and we also opened the lines and the floor for the questioners and for the listeners to interact with them and to ask those pertinent questions. This is the second town hall debate that we are hosting today, the first one having taken place in KZN on the 8th of April 2019, and that was a robust discussion that took place in KZN. And Alhamdulillah, today is the second one taking place. We've got representatives from the ANC, from the DA, as well as the EFF. This program today is being transmitted live on ITV, on Channel Islam, on IFM in the Eastern Cape, and through Radio Islam nationally. We also would like to thank our partners this morning, the Jamiatul Ulama South Africa, ASRI, Tradewood Mall, and others. We welcome one and all to today's debate, and we hope that you have a fruitful discussion with our panelists, and we also wish that you engage them and ask those pertinent questions that are lurking on the top of your minds. We'll start off with the representatives first, towards my right. The first sitting there on the extreme right is Ibrahim Rasool, who is the premier, who's running for the premier candidate, who is the premier candidate for the ANC in the Western Cape. And then we've got Yusuf Kesam for the DA, who is part of the parliament, who is the MP and also part of the federal team at the DA. And then we've got Nazir Paulson for EFF. And Nazir is part of the Central Command team. And that is the highest team as part of the EFF structures. So the format of the debate will be as follows. I will ask the first round of questions. We will ask the representatives here, why should the voters be choosing your party in the upcoming elections? We'll give them 2 minutes of uninterrupted time. Thereafter, I will hand over the mic to my colleague, Maulana Suleiman Rawat, who will then ask the representatives a number of questions, and that will be for about 25 to 30 minutes. And thereafter, I'll hand over the mic to my colleague, Yusuf Ismail from ITV, and he will ask the lead-up questions to that. And then finally, we'll open the floor and we'll take issues off the table, inshallah. With that being said, we'll start off with Ibrahim Rasool, and we ask the first question. Why do you believe that the part or the members of South Africa should be voting for the ANC in the upcoming elections?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, Mulweni. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation. I want to say that this country at this moment faces not a simple election. It's not about which party you want, it's about the direction we want. It's more a referendum than it is an election. I think we are sitting with a situation in which President Ramaphosa requires the strongest mandate that he can get in order to do two things: clean up inside and reform the country and get it back on track. Standards and Poor, a global ratings agency, has said that for them the best case scenario is that under President Ramaphosa we need a strong, stable, united ANC government to continue the ongoing reform program, to be able to ensure that corruption is removed from South Africa, from even within the ANC, that we are able to drive the economy so that the economy gets back on track, that investment pours in, that economic growth is taking place, and that can only happen with a party that is assured of being the government in South Africa on the 9th of May. That's the most important reason that I think we need that. Secondly, as an ummah, as a global Muslim community, we have to make decisions about what is in the best interest of a global Muslim community. Who will continue solidarity with the Palestinians? Who will continue to fight Islamophobia globally and not allow it into South Africa? Who will be able not only to heal the nation, but also play a pivotal role in the world today.
Thank you very much. As you heard, there's a timer in the background, so as soon as your time is up, kindly pass the mic forward to the next person. Jazakallah khairan. Next, we've got Yusuf, and we'll be asking him the same question. Why should South Africans vote for DA?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Maulana, and to your guests here today and to listeners at home. The Democratic Alliance, as an alternative government in South Africa, we govern in the Western Cape and we govern in over 30 municipalities across the country, has shown to be the best government, best alternative government in the country. Out of the top 20 best governed municipalities in the country, 15 of them are governed by the Democratic Alliance. In the bottom 20, not a single one is governed by the Democratic Alliance. We are the best hope for change. We cannot trust the ANC to fix the same mess that they caused. I've got 3 daughters, Maulana, and I've never seen one of them change their own nappy. We believe that the DA can bring change. We've shown it where we govern. In the Western Cape, most jobs that were created last year, over 70% were created in the Western Cape. Over 80% of our budgets are spent on low-income areas. And we have shown that we are the surest bet for South Africa to provide a stable environment and to cut corruption. One thing we must be aware of is that if we allow the ANC back into government rather than reward the DA, which has shown to be a better government, then we are rewarding bad behavior, number one. And number two, we could allow a 2/3 majority for the ANC and the EFF in this election, which will undermine our constitution. They are already banding together in parliament in order to make amendments to property rights. In our constitution, there's legislation on prescribed assets, which will take our pensions to loot the corruption, to bail out the looting that is taking place in state-owned entities. For our Muslim Ummah, the Democratic Alliance has been the best bet when in government. Through a better, more efficient government, we have shown here in the city of Johannesburg, we have launched a Masajid help desk, which is assisting our community across the city through that help desk. And where we are governing, we have shown that we deal with objections quicker and that we are able to deliver masajids quicker for our community.
There's a white car, registration HP11JH. Your windows are open. I know it's a heated discussion, but it's in the hall. Your car windows are open. Jazakallah. We'll ask Nazir Paulson the same question. Why should the South Africans be voting for the EFF in the upcoming elections?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mweni, Sanbonani, Dumelang, to you, Maulana, and the listeners of Radio Islam, and also to the audience here. Shukran for this opportunity. 2019 marks 25 years since the advent of our democracy. And those 25 years have not translated into much benefit for the vast majority of South Africans. 80% of this land is owned by 10% of the people. That is a small minority. Most of black people participate in the economy as cheap and disposable labor. We remain on the fringes of the economy. There is no control of the productive means of our economy. We are nothing but cheap and disposable labor. And this is under the current government. And we cannot expect this government to do anything different from what it has done. There is no government, whether nationally or in the Western Cape, that has done much to improve the conditions of the vast majority of black people in the Western Cape. Cape Town alone, there are over 400 informal settlements where there are 50,000 people at least on the waiting list. That makes up at least 75% of the total people on the waiting list in the country for affordable, dignified accommodation. In addition to that, we've also seen how the DA is opposed to the construction of masajid in Ballito as well as here in Fordsburg. They've also closed down madrasas in Lotus River in Cape Town. So I don't think that we can even rely on the DA to be fair towards Muslims.
Thank you very much. Jazakallah khairan. We now move on to the second round of questions. I'll hand over the mic to Maulana Suleiman Rawat. He'll be questioning the representatives for the next 25 minutes, and thereafter we'll move on to the third set of questions, and thereafter we'll open the floor for the audience to interact with our representatives here.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good morning to one and all. To the listeners of Radio Islam International, to the viewers of ITV, to the listeners of Channel Islam, as well as IFM out in Port Elizabeth. In terms of my round of questioning, there's going to be two parts to it. In the first part, I'm going to ask each representative a question, give them a minute to answer, and I may ask follow-up questions to that. And then the second part, we want to focus on economy, on corruption, and on land. And thereafter, Yusuf Ismail from ITV will take over, and he will ask questions on other issues and even issues related to what came out from this particular round. Now, what I must mention is that this is a debate, and it's expected to be somewhat robust. So the supporters of the respective parties, keep your peace. I think your representatives are more than capable to deal with questions. There has to be interjections. This is not a Jummah platform. These representatives have not come here to give long speeches. So if they're giving an answer and you need to ask a question on clarity whilst they're answering, there will be an interjection. If they're moving away from the point, naturally, they are going to be stopped. That's all part and parcel of the nature of a debate of this particular kind. And they're more than capable. These are seasoned politicians, mashallah, all three of them, and they can deal with that. Actually, my round will be relatively easy. The round that is to come, there's a seasoned advocate who's got much experience in debating comparative religion. So I'm just whetting the appetite, and that will be the meal, inshallah. We're going to start with the ruling party, the ANC. Ibrahim, each one of you made a small video, to promote this debate. And I want to quote what you said in that particular video. You said, "Never have minorities needed the ANC more. Never has our country needed the ANC more. Never has the world needed the ANC more." That was part of that video that you put out for the promotion of this debate. Now, many would argue that a lot of what is wrong with the country currently is the ANC's fault. There's a long list of examples that one could give, from SASA to Bosasa to Marikana to Life Isitimani to the economy reaching junk status to ESCOM to state capture, SARS, etc., etc. In recent elections, minorities have been taking their votes away from the ANC. Opposition parties have progressively been getting stronger. Now, my question is it then not disingenuous to proclaim that minorities, the country, and the world needs the ANC that is responsible for so many of South Africa's woes more now than ever before?
Thank you very much, Maulana. I want to say that an argument I make globally is that extremism in the name of Islam does not disqualify Islam or Muslims. And that is because we believe in the ability to correct what needs to be corrected and the will to correct what needs to be corrected. And that's what Cyril Ramaphosa represents. One of the casualties of the last 10 years particularly has been non-racialism. We cannot have a situation in which minorities choose a party that represents minorities as opposed to a majority who, despite poverty, despite unemployment, continues to show enormous faith in the ANC. I think we are setting up a classical divide, a polarization between privilege and the struggle for a better life. We cannot have that. And I want to say that the non-racial ethic within the ANC is part of the renewal and the revival that I think we all have to fight for, and that's what we are trying in the Western Cape.
A quick follow-up to that, Ibrahim. Many voters are tired of that kind of line of argument from the ANC. Every election you're saying, we acknowledge our mistakes, we've done wrong, but the incumbent leadership now will do a better job. Simply put, a simple and straightforward answer. Are you willing to acknowledge that South Africa would have been a significantly better country today if the ANC had its house in order? Are you willing to admit that in especially the last 10 years, the ANC has dropped the ball?
I have said that on many platforms. I want to start off by saying that South Africa today is absolutely better than it was 25 years ago. Could South Africa have been better?
Significantly better.
Absolutely better. Could South Africa have been even better despite the last 10 years? It should have been better, and the ANC has admitted, and I've said that for the ANC to admit, we must then be able to have the country commit.
So in essence, you're saying we've dropped the ball, but still vote for us, we are your best option.
No, I'm saying that the ANC will be the government, and therefore those who want an improvement must strengthen the government. If you want to shout at the government, you can vote for other parties, but if you want to improve the country, you've got to vote for the ANC and give the president a mandate to clean up.
Let's move on to the DA. Yusuf Kesim, representing the DA today. Yusuf, can we have silence, please? Thank you. Yusuf, the ANC has had a torrid 5 years since 2014. The DA has capitalized on that in the local government elections. You did fairly well. But since then, things, by the DA's own admission, has become somewhat messy for the party. The Patricia de Lille saga, loss of control in Nelson Mandela Bay, Helen Zulis tweets, Diane Kohler-Barnard, the complicated and messy relationship with the EFF. Polls are showing, and analysts have opined, that the DA will struggle to grow its 22% support significantly. Now, whilst politicians can, rubbish polls and say analysts and polls have been proven to be wrong in the past, what is clear is that enough has gone wrong in the DA in the last 2.5 years that has caused the party to lose momentum. Now, whilst every party has its ups and downs, the DA has lost momentum at a critical time, at a time when it ought to have been maximizing on the internal issues and the scandals and the corruption of the ANC. And as the official opposition party, you have lost momentum at a time when the ANC ought to have been significantly weaker than what it is currently entering into this 5th national election. My question to you simply is, why has the DA not grown significantly despite an ANC in disarray?
Thank you very much, Molana. What you refer to as failures, I don't equate the failure to win more votes or losing votes as a failure. In fact, I see it as a success in this regard, and I'll tell you why. I was in Nelson Mandela Bay when we lost that government. We had a choice. Either you're going to condone the corruption of Bobani and the UDM, who was the deputy mayor in the coalition, and turn a blind eye to that to hold on to power, or you're going to lose power. We chose to lose power and keep our principles. It's a similar situation with Patricia de Lille. We could have turned a blind eye to what was taking place. In fact, it was the ANC that brought the first motion of no confidence against Patricia de Lille, calling her corrupt. There were many investigations that found she blocked, for example, making the Boer Cup a heritage site and so forth. We could have said, like other parties, the ANC refused to deal with Jacob Zuma, the EFF refuses to deal with Floyd Shivambo and VBS. We are not afraid to lose votes and lose support in order to do the right thing. And I stand by that, Mulana. I've said to Musi, I stand by that.
Okay. Thank you. A quick follow-up to that, right? That the ANC has been at its weakest in the last 5 years. I think even Ibrahim would concede to that. You are the official opposition. You are the second biggest party. If you get anything less than 25% in this election, last election you got around 22%, anything less, some have even said anything less than 30%, would you consider that a failure? Or if you were to get 19 or 20% or 21 or 22, similar to where you were in 2014, although this has been the weakest 5 years for the ANC, would you still say it's a success?
No, I think if we go backwards in support, it would be an electoral failure. Our target in this election is to bring the ANC under 50% in Gauteng. The polls are showing that we are well on the way.
If you get less than 25%, would it be a failure?
No, that's part of what we do. Remember, when you go into an election, you target specific governments because we aspire to be in government. It's not just about getting more seats in a legislature and in parliament, because that doesn't really change much in that legislature. We aspire to change the lives of South Africans. We did that in 2016. That was a major success. To change governments in Gauteng, like in Johannesburg and in Tshwane, and in other municipalities like in Koga in the Eastern Cape, even in Nelson Mandela Bay for the time that we were there, that is a major change for voters on the ground.
Right,
and
so
I think that makes a difference.
Let me put it to you this way. Let's say you get 20%, right? Less than what you got in 2014. You bring the ANC down below 50%. The EFF and other parties then grow significantly. Would you still consider that a success? Or the fact that you as the DA haven't grown despite the ANC's weakest 5 years, would that be a failure or not?
Let me answer it directly, Molana. It would be an electoral failure, but we are not willing to grow at all costs. We are not willing to do that.
Thank you for your frankness. Nazir from the EFF. There is no doubt that the EFF has shaken up the political narrative in South Africa in many ways, or in more ways than one. You were at the forefront of the campaign against state capture. You were in the forefront in calling for the removal of former President Zuma. You have policies that strongly resonate with some and are strongly opposed by others. But what is of concern to many voters is not necessarily the policies of the EFF, but the tone of the EFF's discourse, the manner and the approach, the aggression, and at times even the violence. Just to quote some examples in passing: assaulting officers in parliament after Sona, attacking journalists, putting the cell phone numbers of journalists into the public domain, exposing them to threats, demonizing entire race groups for the actions of some. Many voters in South Africa see merits in your political arguments, but they are repulsed by your political attitude and your approach. Surely you can achieve your political objectives without the arrogance, without the attitude, without even the violence and time. So my question to you specifically is, are you willing to admit that the EFF's attitude has been problematic, and are you willing to commit that going forward the EFF will espouse its policies and do its politics in a more dignified way, in a less aggressive, offensive and violent way?
Shukran so much for the question. And let me, there's always been violence. Apartheid was the most extreme form of violence. It excluded people. Segregation is violence. So what do we go and do? We go into a parliament and we have some colonial attitude to addressing something that has oppressed the majority of black people. That hasn't changed anything for us in 25 years. So the advent of the EFF was much needed in that we had to adopt a different approach to bring about change. I remember the first sitting of the National Assembly in 2014 when Musi asked the President, Jacob Zuma, about Nkandla, and he says, "I've handled that. It's over and done with." Musi sits down and he sips his water. The Commander-in-Chief of the EFF gets up and says, "No, we want a response on Nkandla, and when are you paying back that money?" And that has brought about the demise of Jacob Zuma. If we had to go in there and have the same approach as all these other political parties, we'd still be sitting with Jacob Zuma, we'd still be sitting with the corruption of the ANC, and to be able to end that, we had to adopt a very strong approach towards corruption.
But Nazir, what you're saying then in essence is that you needed a different approach, granted, but your approach had to be one of violence, one of aggression, one of intimidation. That's not going to gel with the majority of South Africans. That's not a good answer, that, to sort out political problems, to remove Zuma, to sort out errant officers in parliament. Our deputy president needs to attack journalists. Our members need to attack parliamentary officers. We need to be putting numbers of journalists into the public domain. That can't be a dignified, sober approach to the political problems in South Africa, can it?
Violence is wrong, yes, but we have to look at where that violence starts. Violence was the response of the ANC to the EFF.
No, but I'm asking about your party.
No, violence was the response of the ANC to the EFF. What did we have to do to sit back and allow ourselves to be beaten up, allow our females to have their noses broken? A woman had a miscarriage because of violence. What did we have to do? Sit back and just
So you're saying the answer to violence is more violence. All right.
No.
Just one quick question. Let's maintain silence. Let's give him a chance. Talking about image, right? Many people accuse the EFF of having many contradictions. They refer to you sometimes as the Gucci revolutionaries. So you wear the red overalls trying to show solidarity with workers, but then you got Louis Vuitton shoes. You want to be part of that, Inanda country club, but then you say you're struggling for the poor. How do you explain these contradictions?
Maulana, I can't see how we can deny people of this country access to any of the privileges that exist. I think that is very racist. If someone wants to buy a Gucci, let them buy the Gucci. I mean, I don't wear Gucci shoes. I wear Takis because I want to move fast. But if someone else chooses to buy a different brand, it's got absolutely nothing to do with me. It's his money. He can do with it as he please. Why must we deny
I don't think the issue is whether he's got the right to buy it or not. It's
I
about
didn't
what
know
you stand
that
for.
Gucci is exclusively for rich and white people. It's a very wrong way of thinking.
No, all right. Anyway, let's move on, right? I want to talk a little bit about the economy. And I'm going to, now this, we got a lot of ground to cover, so I'm going to insist on very short and sharp answers. I'm going to start with Ibrahim again. This time around, your manifesto talks about 275,000 jobs. The last time around, former President Zuma spoke about 6 million job opportunities. A very specific question, short answer required. In 2014, the ANC promised the nation 6 million job opportunities. What percentage of that figure has been delivered? How many job opportunities have you created in the last 5 years?
I think that we have seen job growth, but not to the extent that was promised. And I think that that has to be admitted.
Percentage, give or take, 50%, 30%?
No, I wouldn't. I wasn't here. So I don't
Yusuf,
have that
do you
figure
know?
in my mind. What I do want to say is that I certainly know, and this rhetoric of the DA being best, I certainly know that in the Western Cape, I left behind an economy in 2009 that was growing at 5.8%. Today, under the DA, it's 0.8%. I left an unemployment rate of 16%. And today in the Western Cape, it is 21%.
Okay.
And so I can go on and show that the level of investment reached 14 billion in 2009. Today we don't even have that kind of income coming. And so I'm very much more familiar with the Western Cape and the DA mismanagement. I can also go, I've not heard the buzzer yet. I can also
this
go
is not
further.
a 1 minute.
I can also go further and say that the DA wants to manage a whole lot of provincial things, but can't even manage water in the Western Cape.
Let me just explain. This round here now, there's no 1 minute. It's an interaction, right? So it's short, sharp answers. Yusuf, I'll give you an opportunity to respond to what Ibrahim said, but I also want to pose a question so you can tackle both at the same time.
No problem.
In your manifesto, actually, Musi Memani did an interview recently, and he said, we will grow the economy to 3%, right, within the first year. It's currently at 0.7%.
Yes.
Many economists are saying that's very difficult, from 0.7% to 3% in 1 year. You're also promising 1 job per household. Tell us how you're going to do this.
Sure. Let me just start off with the Western Cape, Molana, because I think it's important to deal with facts. Between 2009 and 2018, whilst the DA was in government, we grew the employment of the Western Cape by 24.8%. That was the highest growth in the country. The next best was Gauteng at 18.6%. These are facts, all right? Rural unemployment is at its lowest. And it's a bit disingenuous to make comparisons when the economy was growing pre the financial crisis in the Western Cape, like the rest of the country. You must then look at the proportions, Ibrahim.
Point taken, right.
But let me look at growing the economy going forward. Our African neighbors are growing their economies at over 5, 6, and 7%. Cote d'Ivoire is doing it. Morocco is doing it.
How? South Africans.
The way that we need to do it is the following. The first thing that we need to make sure that the national fiscus is geared towards investment. Right now, we are geared towards consumption as a nation. We are spending over R1 billion a day just on servicing our national debt, so that we can spend on things like the most number of foreign missions, the second most number of foreign missions in the world, or the high amount that we pay on the number of cabinet ministers or VIP protection services. So our spending is wrong. The second thing that we need to do is we need to be able to cut red tape and ensure that we are bringing in investment. It's a competitive environment out there, Molana. We are competing with countries across Africa to make sure that we are the preferred investment destination for investments.
Shukran. Same on economy, right, Nazir? The EFF makes even greater claims. You're saying that 6% within 1 year and 10% thereafter, and you say you'll achieve that via nationalization of mines and via a state bank, etc. But it seems like across the board, the experts and the economists are saying that because you're a small upcoming party, it's easy for you to sell the people a pipe dream. Even with nationalization and a state bank, and if all variables fall in your favor, they're saying it's not possible to achieve that 6% growth without taking South Africa beyond the fiscal cliff into fiscal abyss, without perhaps having to rob the World Bank. So my question is, shouldn't you be a bit more realistic with your economic targets?
No, I think 6% is very realistic. The way to build an economy is to have sustainable jobs. And the way to have sustainable jobs is to have sustainable industries, produce things that we consume daily instead of importing those things. We are pushing for inward industrialization so that we start. South Africa's productivity is very low. We produce very little, and there's a great potential for production in South Africa. We have vast mineral reserves which are exported either in raw form or semi-processed, and those things can be used locally to produce finished products and exported. That will help us create jobs. As the brother Yusuf just said that our neighbors are growing their economies by 5%.
But of a lower base, right?
No, but we can start. And we have an advantage. We have vast mineral reserves that could be beneficiated locally and export finished products and produce vast jobs, dignified jobs, sustainable jobs for the vast number of South Africans.
Shukran. Obviously, I mean, every aspect of what we're touching on could be a debate on its own and a discussion on its own, but we have limited time. I want to quickly move on to corruption. Ibrahim, the question that comes to the minds of many South Africans is how can we take the ANC's rhetoric on corruption and accountability seriously when the ANC's own integrity committee was unable to get those involved in public misconduct removed or even pushed lower down from a party list? The only answer coming out from the ANC has been, well, they have not been found guilty in a court of law. They are not convicted. But your own stalwarts have come out and said that that's not a good enough answer. We need to have a higher political and moral standard. Even if people are not guilty in a court of law, you don't have to pronounce on their guilt or innocence. You can remove them because they are politically compromised, because their reputations no longer send the right message to the electorate. So many are grappling to take the ANC seriously when it comes to accountability and corruption, especially because of what has transpired with regards to this list. Your response?
I want to say that I don't understand why many would not take the ANC seriously. We have instituted at least 5 commissions of inquiry, the Zondo being one of the most famous ones, that has been able to gather as much evidence as possible, brought things into the open, and that's an ANC initiative. Others can shout about corruption. The ANC has done things about it. I think we've now gotten further. We understood that we need a National Director of Public Prosecutions who is with the program. With that needed to change, we now have a new Director of National Prosecutions. Thirdly, we have a dedicated prosecutor for events that are mentioned and come out of the Zondo Commission and others. That's an ANC initiative that is moving its way. We have an integrity committee that has sat with that list, is producing names that will be presented to the president, and the correlation between the two will have an impact. Whether people are removed from the list or whether people are charged, I think one way or the other, the president has promised people will go to jail.
In terms of that has a lot to do with what will happen in the future. I mean, you can have a commission of inquiry. We had the Farnham Commission of Inquiry, and responsibility and accountability is a different thing. But let me ask you very quickly this question. President Ramaphosa has spoken about 9 wasted years. There's many who speak about the state capture and the corruption that took place under the leadership of former President Jacob Zuma. Yet he's allowed to campaign on behalf of the ANC. Yet the current president is backslapping him. You haven't taken him to account. You haven't called him to account. Can you give us a commitment today that you're willing to apologize to the nation for Jacob Zuma?
What greater accountability do you want than to remove him at Nasrec? What greater accountability do you want than to have him on the 14th of February removed as president of the country? Let the rule of law take its course. We allowed the rule of law to take its course with apartheid operatives, with murderers. We allowed the rule of... I sat in the first cabinet in the Western Cape with the last apartheid police minister. That was what I had to face every day in government, and we said, let the rule of law take its course.
Ibrahim,
now you want to say, let's rush it.
The ANC defended him repeatedly in Parliament. They only removed him after he had put the country into the gutters. Yes. We can't say you removed him at Nasrec and accept us to expect it.
Because we needed that critical mass, we needed to get the democratic process of the ANC, and when the ANC met at Nasrec, it spoke. It spoke decisively.
I want to allow the DA and the EFF quickly to respond on this issue of corruption in the ANC. Yusuf can go first.
Well, Maulana, Brother Ibrahim is selling South Africans a fantasy. This Nasrec critical mass that he's talking about was a deal with the devil. Cyril Ramaphosa had to do a deal with Didi Mabuza to become president of the ANC. There is no way that you can lock up.
All right, let him speak. Let him speak.
No way.
Let him speak. Let him speak. Let him speak.
No, there's no way that you can lock up the same people that made you president. That is why the same people that made him president are on the list of the ANC. Can talk about an integrity committee. It's all a fantasy and a promise.
Nazir, your quick comment, Nazir.
Shukran so much. The EFF doesn't have experience with corruption. These two parties are postgraduates.
They're ablest.
We have never ever had any experience. But let me just
quiet.
Let me just add this. It was the EFF that removed Jacob Zuma. No one else. The EFF removed him. Jacob Zuma would have still delivered SONA in 2019 had it not been for the EFF. Let me tell you our approach to corruption. If anyone within the EFF is found to have taken funds of the organization or anyone else, we would have such a person suspended and no longer involved in party activities.
Okay, thank you.
He would not be allowed to campaign as Jacob Zuma campaigns. We would also not go and fetch apartheid.
My time is almost up, Nazir. I just want to ask a quick question. My time is almost up. I just want to touch on the... Thank you. The more we're going to interject, the more we're going to waste time, and the more you're going to drown out the voices of your own party representatives. Nazir, I want to start with you, and then I'll go to the DA and the EFF on the question of land, right? Because I want to wrap up on that before I go to Yusuf Ismail. Here in Lenasia, and in many parts of the country, we have had land invasions. People come and put red t-shirts, and they say, right, this land is unoccupied, we're taking control of it. We don't care who it belongs to. I claim not to have a home, so therefore I'm going to take possession of that land. What's the EFF stance on that?
Brother Sulaiman, the fact that...
Quiet.
The fact that our people are landless is because of the ANC's inability...
No, your stance on land invasions.
When people are homeless and they do not have land, you must occupy land wherever you see vacant land. Where you see a piece of land and it is vacant and you are landless, you must take that land.
Okay.
You must not allow anyone to keep you landless.
Thank you.
The country of your birth, the country of your forefathers. You must take that land and you must occupy every available piece of land throughout the country.
Can we ask you to please calm down? Calm down. Nazir, just two quick things. You say just take the land. So if a white man is homeless and he sees vacant land, can he take it?
We mustn't be racist about these things. If you are homeless, you are homeless. You must take the land.
All right, okay. You see, the problem with this is you're not defining how long was the land vacant. Someone can purchase land today. They're still getting finance to develop that land. You're not defining that who's claiming that land. I can put on an EFF t-shirt today and say, yeah, I don't have land. Whereas I may be owning 24 properties and I take it. You see, this is the reckless rhetoric that people are concerned about.
I don't think any person who has a property is going to want to go and occupy another piece of property.
Oh, there are people who are very greedy.
No,
you've seen it in political circles.
You must bring me facts.
If I'm quick response,
you must bring me facts.
Look, I think that the ANC is for land reform, but we have a constitutional legal way. But what I want to point out here is that is the DA's coalition partner in Johannesburg, Tshwane and Port Elizabeth speaking.
Okay.
That is the position that they must share.
Thank you,
so don't make people scared about ANC, EFF coalitions when you are still in a coalition with the EFF.
Malana?
Yes.
Please.
Quiet. Yes.
I did ask colleagues, please, let's refrain from outright lies. I mean, we can massage the truth. The DA is not in a coalition with the EFF. The DA is in a minority government. There is no coalition with the EFF. There's no coalition agreement. There's no EFF member that has an executive seat in the city of Johannesburg.
Okay.
We are not in a coalition with the EFF.
Okay,
please.
thank you.
You know what a coalition government is. Please do not lie. Brother Ibrahim, do not lie. They do not have a single executive seat on this council.
You know it.
Then name one EFF member that has an executive seat. So which seat do they hold in the government?
Thank you. I'm going to ask the...
Malana, maybe he can inform us. Which seat does an EFF member hold?
They are holding the
which seat? Tell us which seat.
Thank you. Please, supporters of the parties, you are drowning out your own party representatives. I want to hand over the mic to Yusuf Ismail, but Nazir, I want to ask you a question and you can wrap up. This will be the last one. The EFF is saying nationalize the land, right? If the ANC wins the election, you want us to have them control over all the land. See what they did to ESCOM. See what they've done to the SAA, and you want them to have control of all the land. If a family has resided in South Africa, for generations they work hard, they purchase land, they develop it. Now you say they must lease it back from the state, they must pay to occupy land that they've already paid for, and on top of it, every 25 years they must reapply, and at any time, the state can say, look, we want your land back because of public good or public need. So this is obviously something that creates a lot of panic, that you want to nationalize the land and give it into the hands of a state that has not handled the entities under its control properly to date. The land under the state so far has not been adequately restituted, and you want to hand all of that land back to them?
Molana, the change of the constitution is the first step. When we expropriate land and it's in the custodianship of the state, there will be several structures in place to make sure that we do not have a failed land policy, that land is redistributed fairly and for the purposes that they are intended. We will not have the same thing that happened to ESCOM, SAA,
How
under
is
the
it fair
ANC.
if someone has
The
worked for
EFF will make
generations
sure that there are
to
proper
purchase something,
structures in
They
place.
must now lease it from the state. If you've worked for generations, you haven't stolen anyone's land, right? You haven't, quiet. You haven't, let's say Nazir Paulson and his family, the Paulson family have worked. They haven't stolen anyone's land. They've worked hard. They've bought land. They've developed the land. They've built property on the land. Now they must lease it back to the state, pay the state rental, and then they're still under risk at any time the state can say for public good, we're repossessing your land.
In addition, when it comes to residential land, we will make sure that when families have developed that land, that they will be able to leave that land to their children, to their offspring as well. We will make sure that those laws are in place. We won't have a situation where I live in this property.
Many
I
would say
raise
that's
my
wishful
kids.
thinking, but let's leave it at that. I'm going to now hand over to Yusuf Ismail, and he's going to continue with the questioning, inshallah. Once again, we'll appeal to the party members. After they finish their response, boo all you want or applaud all you want. But whilst they're talking, if you start applauding and booing, you're drowning out their voice and you're robbing the viewers and the listeners of the opportunity to hear what they say. Tell them afterwards. We're going to come to the floor after this round.
All your horses. Assalamu alaikum and good morning. I think one thing that I've been involved in is that the judiciary and politicians tend to give people a headache. I don't know who to start off with. Let me start off with you, Nazir Paulson. Do you mind me calling you Nazir?
No problem.
I actually met you. I haven't met any of the other panelists, but I liked your smiley face, and I hope it actually stays the same throughout the discussion. You actually at the outset, let's cut to the basics. You would like to see Julius Malema as a president of this country, true or false?
True.
Okay.
True, without a doubt.
Okay. Now, okay, calm down. Could we just calm down? But now, I just want to bring something for your attention. Two sources, both offered evidence to the Hawks, so I've offered evidence to the Hawks. One is an individual called Ole Bocheng Leserwane. You're probably familiar with him. He's made an official statement, and he's purported to suggest that he intends taking information and evidence to the Hawks. And this is what he says. It pains me that the EFF has failed nationally as a vehicle of our people's hopes for a balanced society. They have bought themselves V-250s using the organization's resources. They exploit and sexually abuse women in reference to Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu. Open theft is being committed by Malema and his cronies. And he further goes on to say that the EFF failed to divulge information regarding monthly expenditure of 3 million rands. Now, the point is, when you tie up the statement and you tie it up to the recent investigation by Scorpio, where the EFF received approximately 1.8 million rands in illicit VBS funds flowing through two fronts, basically, you have a situation where your president, and certainly people like Floyd and so on, are essentially compromised through crude schemes run in similar matters that he did in 2012. I'm just questioning you, Nazir. I mean, you seem to be a good chap. How do you reconcile the consistency, number one, as a Muslim, and number two, as a member of a political party that purports to basically represent the interests of the masses, that your president is at a fundamental level thuggish in behavior and corrupt to the core?
Shukran so much, brother, for the question, and I'm glad that you mentioned that I'm a Muslim, and many of the people here are Muslim, and many of the viewers and the listeners out there are Muslim. So we know that fitna is very wrong. It is wrong to fitna. if you know, and to me, when someone goes and he says things like that, that's gossip. Because if I have evidence of wrongdoing, then I, as a law-abiding citizen, as a decent human being, if I have evidence of wrongdoing, whether it's corruption, whether it's sexual harassment, whether it's abuse of women, then I, as a law-abiding citizen, should go lay a charge. But if I'm not doing that, all I'm doing, I'm spreading fitna, I'm spreading gossip, I'm creating disorder in this world by doing things like that, and it is wrong. Because I'm not here to defend Julius Malema, but I'm not here to defend Julius Malema or Floyd Shivambu. They can do that themselves. I'm here to defend what is decent. And it is wrong to spread gossip. It is wrong to fitna.
I agree with that. Nazir, I
him.
agree with that point. I want to have a conversation because I'm going to go on further to the DA and the NC. I agree with the pact that fitna is wrong, gossip is incorrect, Nazir. That's not the point here. However, if you're talking about Islamic principles, there's also the aspect of speaking truth to an oppressive leader. There's also the commitment to justice. Now let's just look at the facts. Prior to the involvement in the EFF, On Point Engineering made headlines in 2012. You're talking about facts, let's go to facts. There were tenders awarded in the Limpopo province. At that point in time, Julius Malema was a director of On Point Engineering. He was a sole proprietor of the Ratananga Trust. Some of the money from the tender was paid directly from the tender to On Point and subsequently to the trust. If you look at the Limpopo Department of Roads and Transport, there was an amount of 43 million rands paid. On Point paid 2.17 million rands through 100,000 rands per month for 17-month dividends. Julius Malema was a direct recipient of those payments. Tuli Madonsela, in her report, implicated him. In fact, she basically stated that he benefited illegally from the On Point scheme, that he had misused the Ratnang funds. The reality, Nazir, is Julius Malema comes from a poor background. Nothing wrong with being poor. Today, he is a multimillionaire. The question is, do you as a member of the EFF ever question his credentials, his morality, and his credibility based on the evidence?
Yeah. I wouldn't know who's a millionaire sitting here.
Is he a millionaire or not?
I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
No, man, don't fit
I really don't care.
Don't fit now.
I really don't care who's a millionaire sitting here. I don't care about another man's financial status. It's none of my business. I'm not going to be chasad and deny someone whatever they have. That's the first thing. Number two, you know, EFF is a very different organization to the ANC, where many of us come from. We will not tolerate anyone committing any kind
Could we calm down, please?
of corruption.
We want to hear him speak. Let the man speak.
You know, we will not tolerate any corrupt person being in the leadership of the EFF. And if you have evidence, I'd say go and lay a charge against that person. Don't come and gossip and spread rumors and stuff like that. You know, I don't know Julius.
Okay, we have to move on.
State.
I have to move
And
on.
I also
Just one
don't
thing.
care.
One thing I want to point out to you. I would urge you, as a history lesson, to study the Nazi Party during the Weimar Republic and the behavior of the Nazi Party, which engaged in they purported to engage in but we will deal with that. We'll deal with that shortly. I want to move on. I will engage with you in that.
That is looking like at the DA in the National Assembly. That's the Nazi Party.
Let's move on. I'll come back to you, Nazir.
Don't fit now.
I'll come back to you.
Don't fit now.
Can we calm down? There's a bit of emotion. We want to calm down. Mr. Rasool, you know, when people want to mention the ANC, I sometimes think about the bathroom. The reality is, unfortunately, I mean, if you look at the status, you spoke, and I just saw your quotation. I just want to kind of, you mentioned the fact where you attempted to draw an analogy between extremism in the name of Islam and, of course, the Islamic worldview. And obviously, the distinction you wanted to point out is that people should not, in fact, look at the religion of Islam and judge it by the practices of its adherents. On that basis, are you then conceding the point that at the very least, the Zuma administration has been a total and utter disaster for almost a decade, leading to a situation that we find ourselves today? I'm quite surprised. You state South Africa is better now than it was 25 years ago. The reality is South Africa has never been in a more worse position now than it has ever been in history. And I'm saying this, I had a discussion, Rasul, I had a discussion with Ben Turok, who was removed by Jacob Zuma, I think 2012, 2013, where he concedes the point that effectively what you had post-1994 was a situation where the ANC were co-opted by big business, capital, and effectively amplified the economic apartheid that existed during the heights of apartheid to a level that was never before seen.
Thank you very much. I know Ben Turok, and we always have these ideological debates, and I think that that is a matter of ideology and not necessarily of practical politics. But what I find astounding, Yusuf, is that statement that you make, that South Africa can't. How can South Africa not be better if 17 million people every month get social grants and pensions? How can South Africa not be better if 3.3 million people have houses that would not have had houses today? How can South Africa not be better?
Order, please. How you will get your chance to speak.
How can South Africa not be better when almost every house has a tap when they had no water before? How can South Africa not be better when people are connected to an electricity grid when they weren't connected before? How can South Africa not be better when there's expanded public works jobs that give people food on the table? Now I think I will take your point.
Okay.
I will take your point.
Can we calm down, please? Please, let's have some order. Order!
I will take your point that South Africa could be better, but I will not take your point that South Africa is worse than it was under apartheid. That is a treacherous point.
Just calm down, calm down. Mr. Rasul, I don't want to personalize the situation, right? You were, can we calm down, please? We want to hear what they say. These people are our public servants. I will be fair. I will be fair. Don't get emotional. Don't get emotional. Mr. Rasul, calm down, please. Sir, you're my senior. Uncle, you are my senior. Calm down. Mr. Rasul, please do not get emotional. I would have to get security to remove you, sir. Calm down. Mr. Rasul.
Yeah.
It seems people are getting emotionally carried away. People are emotionally carried away. Calm down, sir. Please calm down. You're a politician. Calm down. Okay, we're gonna move ahead. Okay. Mr. Rasul, here's the situation. Let's try and. I don't know. Politics is basically very dirty business. Can we calm down? Let's calm down. Calm down. And I'm asking the public, please calm down and let the man speak. Yes, let the man speak. These people are public servants. We want to hear what they are saying. All of you are going to get the opportunity to question them. Can we at least respect each other's point of view? I understand that politics is an emotional enterprise. Calm down. I will let everybody basically ask questions. Mr. Calm down. I said people. All right,
people. Okay.
Calm down.
Okay. Sit down. All right. Listen, people. Listen. People, can we have some silence, please? ANC supporters, can we have some silence? Thank you.
I'm trying to.
Please, can we have some silence?
Calm down.
Thank you. Right, okay. Point taken. All
of you are going to get the question.
Quiet, please. Right, listen here, people.
Can the audience calm down? You've got representatives
Yusuf
here.
is asking questions. Let's allow him to ask the question. Let's allow him to respond. Can we have silence, please? Can we have silence, please? Thank you. We want to hear the answers, so you have to be silent for us to hear the answers. Remember, there are thousands of people listening and watching. And if you're drowning out the voice of your own party representatives, you're doing a disservice to your own party, right? So, yeah, let him ask the questions. Your political party representatives will sort him out. They'll give the answers.
Do you want to hear answers? Please, whether you're the ANC, the DA, or the EFF, please calm down and let the speaker speak. They are capable of speaking. And if you want to, you can question me. I'll take questions. I'll take questions. If you want to question me, we'll take questions. Okay, that's fine. I'm just here to ask questions, and they're more than competent to answer the questions. So please, give them a chance to speak. And respect them. Don't respect me, respect your representatives. Respect them. Okay, after that, let's take it slowly and peacefully. Mr. Rasool, just one quick point. You were basically, as you pointed out, in the political wilderness for approximately a decade. And a lot of people obviously asking about your tenure in the Western Cape particularly, including, I think, that period 2007, 2008, 2009. There were these allegations that you had made payoffs to journalists, more particularly the former Argus journalist Ashley Smith, who publicly confessed by means of an affidavit that he had received money in return for writing pro-Rasool stories during the power struggle. Now, can he answer the question? Can he answer the question? Can he answer the question? Do you want to take his role? Can he answer the question?
Don't be scared to remove him.
Can you answer the question? I haven't asked my question yet. I haven't asked my question.
Don't be afraid to remove him because he's been trying.
Ismail Bhai,
I haven't asked my question.
Ibrahim Bhai will respond.
The point.
I think I have the gist of the question. I think I have the gist of the question, and it's enough for me to answer it.
Ismail Bhai, let Ibrahim respond. No, Ibrahim is a seasoned politician. Let him respond. Understood?
Yusuf.
Can you calm down? You want to take his role? You want to take his role? You want to take his role?
Let me answer the question.
Can he answer? Can I ask the question? Can I ask the question?
Ismail Bhai.
I'm going to have to get security to
Ibrahim will respond. Ibrahim will respond. Ibrahim will respond.
Let me answer the question. I think I have the gist of the question. I have consistently denied that.
I'm aware of that.
I have a sworn affidavit from the journalist that also denies that. But most importantly, over the 10 years that I was away, Helen Ziller had commissioned 5 forensic investigations by Ernst & Young at the cost of 12 million rand, none of which have corroborated anything that they have said. And I can say here with a clear conscience that that has not happened. It's a combination of internal and external things. And I will go further to say that I have challenged them consistently. Whenever you find anything, go to the police, don't go to the media. I've given them 10 years to do that. And by the way, I was not in the political wilderness. I was serving my country in Washington, D.C. and making sure that people actually have jobs from a goer, that people actually have exports and all of those things. I do not call that a wilderness.
Fair enough.
I think, Brother Yusuf, the problem with your questions is that it is prefaced by judgmental remarks with a question coming at the end. I'm saying that that is the problem, and you are causing enormous disruption.
Mr. Rasool, I'm going to move on. But the reason I'm asking you these questions is that each one of you as representatives effectively want your political parties to win the elections. Therefore, the point I was asking at this particular point in time, you believe that the ANC is best suited to lead the government. This directly contrasts your statement in a United States diplomatic cable leak which was released by WikiLeaks, where you basically stated back then that your sacking by the ANC was an indication of ANC leaders giving preferences to the large colored and Muslim population of the Western Cape. The point I'm basically asking, Mr. Rasool, is this.
Ismail, please, man.
The point I'm asking is this, is that at that point in time, your indication to the public in the media was that the ANC was selective. You mentioned a regional majority and a regional minority. And now today we have a situation where you believe that the ANC is fit to rule. What is the problem? In what way am I patronizing? Discussion. Please. Okay.
Let me
Go to the DA. I'll go to the Okay, we'll go to the DA.
let me
We'll go to the DA.
Okay. Just give me a minute.
We'll go to the DA.
let me respond.
Okay, Ibrahim, 1 minute. Okay, listen, people, 1 minute.
But you can ask what he wants.
1 minute.
But you can ask what he
All right,
wants.
Ismail Bhai, MEC. Right, 1 minute.
I would debate you directly.
I'm not going to get a chance to speak in this very debate.
1 minute.
By the time the EFF
Can we have silence, please, so we can continue? Right. Let me explain something. Right. Obviously, MEC Wadi is not happy with the line of questioning, but I think that Ibrahim Rasool is more than capable of answering. Let's do this. Let him. Yeah, we're coming. The next round is for the floor, right? Let MEC, let Ibrahim Rasool answer the questions. Let Yusuf and the EFF answer the questions. Keep quiet. After this round of questions is complete with Yusuf Ismail, we're coming to the floor. Then you can state whatever you want to state. You can critique the questions or you can critique the answers. But we have to have silence. Okay. All right, okay. Listen.
Let me.
Okay. Calm down.
I have a suggestion here.
We're going to
Let
DA
me-
next.
I have a suggestion here, right? People, please, quiet. Silence. Right, okay. Listen. Okay. Please sit down. Sir, take your seat. Yeah, okay. Take your seat.
I'll take a seat.
Take your seat.
All sit down.
Right.
We all sit down and then we'll ask.
Mulana, don't be afraid you're afraid to kick out him because he's an MEC. You can't be afraid to kick him out
Right.
because he's an
MEC Wadi has raised the concern. I am talking now, right? He's not talking. I am talking. MEC Wadi, can we keep quiet, ANC supporters, please? Thank you. MEC Wadi has raised the concern that the line of questioning is personal. That question is noted.
Yeah, but
It's heard,
the
right?
meant to get on
But I
that.
think Ibrahim Rasool can respond, and then we're going to move on to Yusuf, and we'll move on to the EFF. And after that, you can have your say. Ismail, I'm going to ask you, right? Your point is noted. It's noted. I've mentioned it now for all to hear. You feel the line of questioning is personal. But I'm going to ask you now, because as a senior of the ANC, if you're going to react in this way, the whole party delegation is going to react, and we're losing control of the debate. No, let him finish his line of questioning. Let him finish his line of questioning.
Can I just say?
Let's just keep quiet.
Okay.
It's fine. They can respond. And after that, we come to the floor. Right? Let's keep quiet and continue, inshallah, in a good spirit. Shukran.
I think I've destroyed the debate, MEC, but your behavior is absolutely
Can
pathetic.
I just say?
Okay, let's go on.
But he's right.
We'll go on to the DA.
He's right.
We go on to the DA. We'll go on
The
to the
behavior
DA.
is pathetic.
I don't support any political party. Okay, let's go to the DA. Let's go to the DA.
Can I just say?
Everybody has questions, and
Can
these
I
are
just
questions
say
that they need to answer.
That the reason,
Thank you, please, Yusuf. I'm ready for your
Can I
questions.
just say
Thank you.
that the reason that I
We would
am
love to answer your
subjecting-
questions.
Yeah. Can I just say that the reason that I am subjecting myself?
Speaker's time. You can't give him extra time, Molana. It's unfair.
No, he asked the
His
question.
own member wasted his time.
He asked the question which
But
I
I'm
will
moving on.
Your
respond
own
to.
member wasted your time.
Can I just say
unfair.
that the reason that I'm subjecting myself to this personal and pejorative line of questioning is because, astaghfirullah, I sat through the same line of questioning that was given to my brother here. And I was tempted to say this is not right, but I kept quiet. And because I kept quiet, I now have to subject myself to that same line of questioning because I should have objected to the line of questioning that was so personal and so pejorative and so insulting, and therefore I have accepted it for myself. Let me say in short, Brother Yusuf, that we all know what happened in the Western Cape. It was a time of enormous contestation. I think the point is that at this moment, those people that we fought with in the ANC, we are working together because we realize that what we had done was not the right thing. There's agreement that the non-racial way in which we were delivering services was the best way, and I think that we have a commitment now, particularly under President Ramaphosa, that that is the way in which we should. I now look forward. I now look forward to your line of questioning to the DA.
Okay, sure. And I'm going to ask the DA the same tough question, so it's not going to be just one party. Let's calm down, and I'll sit down so everybody else can sit down. Okay. The Democratic Alliance, can we have some calm, please? Because time's already running out. The Democratic Alliance generally puts itself, as the paragon of virtue in terms of exposing corruption within the ANC and so on. I just want to bring something for your attention, Yusuf. You may know, you may not know. Resolve Communications, this was a company that was subcontracted by the city of Cape Town to provide strategic advice to improve the city's drought crisis. It was an advertising agency. This was a public relations firm headed by the former Democratic Alliance leader Tony Leon and communications director Nick Cleland. They received over R500,000 from the DA-led city of Cape Town. Now the question I need to ask is this, is that as many people have pointed out, Tony Ehrenreich, individuals within COSATU, and of course social movement organizations, is that a new brand of corruption is being exposed in the city of Cape Town. Tony Leon and an ex-employee of the city of Cape Town were being paid R500,000 by the DA-led city of Cape Town to in fact tell people that there's actually no rain. And this happened last year where every morning Tony Leon would sit on his chair, he would give a press statement and state that it didn't rain today. And for that, collectively in February 2019, an amount of 658,000 rands was paid by him. Now the question I need to point out is this. If, as the DA alleges, that the ANC steals outside from the legal framework, the DA, on the other hand, could we not argue, is no less of a corrupt body as it steals money that should have been used from the poor, but does it within a wholly sophisticated legal framework. How do you reconcile that inconsistency?
Thank you for the question, Brother Yusuf, and I'm happy to answer any question that you might have.
Sure.
I'm happy to do that. I want to say, firstly, that we have never held ourselves up as this perfect organization, a paragon of virtue. Corruption can happen. Can you please give me a chance to answer, please? I'm asking with respect. I'm really asking with respect. Please, I kept quiet while your speakers spoke. Corruption can happen under DA government. We've seen it happen, Yusuf. The difference is that when we investigate corruption, and when people are found to be complicit in corruption, we fire them. We don't redeploy them elsewhere. We make sure that we back up those agencies. When Bowman Gilfillian came out with reports against people that were going to lose us votes, we backed it up. We weren't afraid to do it. Here in the city of Johannesburg, there was an MMC, Sharon Peets, because everyone makes it about race. She was a white lady. She was found by a report that she took her family on a personal trip, not a massive issue, right? And it was paid for by taxpayers' money here in the city of Johannesburg. I was on the federal executive. I'm on the federal executive of the DA. We fired her overnight. Molana, you will know about it. So the difference is that when corruption takes place under us, we will investigate it and we will fire those individuals. We will not redeploy them elsewhere.
Let me ask you this, and I know time's a premium. When I was coming to Johannesburg, and certainly I understand, for example, Lenasia is a DA-run ward. Cape Town Mayor, for example, Dan Plato, said that the city of Cape Town has been allocated an additional amount of 115 million rands. When I go to Cape Town is put forth as a success story. However, when I go to Khayelitsha, when I go to Mitchell's Plain, when I go to Langa, when I go to some of these rural areas, the standard of living is absolutely appalling.
I agree with you.
The question I need to ask is that for all the time that the DA has been in control in the Western Cape, why have there been no improvements whatsoever?
Look, Brother Yusuf, where I can agree with my colleagues is that the legacies of apartheid are so great that we may never ever deal with those backlogs. Whether it's in Cape Town, whether it's in eThekwini, whether it's in Johannesburg, there's over 200,000 backlog in Nelson Mandela Bay on housing. We may never deal with it. But the difference, Yusuf, please allow me to answer the question. The difference is that in places like Khayelitsha, in places like Gugulethu, we are making better progress on dealing on the backlog. And let me give you some facts. In the Western Cape, let me give you facts because I like to deal with facts, not on conjecture or on what you've seen.
Time
there,
is
right?
limited.
No, that's fine.
I don't want you to be.
No, that's fine.
Just wrap it up in a few seconds.
We have the highest access to free basic water, to free basic electricity than anywhere else in the country in the Western Cape. We spend over 80% of our budgets on low-income communities.
Time.
We have made sure.
I have to stop you. One last question, which affects the Muslim generally.
Yes.
The general position is, and I'm going to ask you straight, and I want a straightforward answer.
I will give you one.
The general position is that the Democratic Alliance is viewed within the Muslim community as having anti-Muslim sentiments by virtue of the fact that its leaders have over the years supported the State of Israel. You had your leader meeting Benjamin Netanyahu. So I'm going to ask you a straightforward question. You may differ from your official party's position. Do you?
I don't.
Do you? Okay, well, this is the question.
Sure.
Do you, taking into account the numerous UN resolutions, analysts by international reporters, political views and perspectives, would you publicly proclaim as a fact that Israel is an apartheid state?
Sure. Please give me the time to answer your question.
Yes
Because you
or
don't
no?
let me.
It's
No,
a yes
I
or
say
no.
yes.
Yes or no?
No, I say yes. But can you, because you,
Okay.
because you give everyone else a chance to answer your question.
But you had the most.
Can you please, you
Okay.
give everyone, be fair.
Okay.
Even when they interject, you give them a chance, Molana, to answer the question. Be fair. I'm asking you nicely to be fair. Yusuf,
Go
please.
ahead, go
You
ahead.
can ask any question, but allow me to answer it.
All right.
There is no DA leader that has been found to be pro-Israeli. You say that Musi meeting Benjamin Netanyahu is evidence of being pro-Israeli. Here is Mbeki meeting Ariel Sharon Ismail Vadi. No one said that he's pro-Israeli. Helen Zille in 2014, you must be fair and do your research. She released a position that supported the end of settlements, end of the occupation, right of return of refugees, two-state solution with Jerusalem being a shared capital, end of the siege, withdrawal of illegal settlements. All of these are pro-Palestinian demands. All of these are pro-Palestinian issues of the PLO. How can you say that that is pro-Israeli? If you know the issue, I've been there 3 times.
Yeah.
How can you say that our leaders are pro-Israeli when they have articulated pro-Palestinian positions? You are buying in the narrative that has been released by the ANC.
My question was specific. My question was, do you agree that Israel is an apartheid state? Yes.
Yes, I do.
So the DA's official position is that Israel is
The
an
DA
apartheid
hasn't
state.
said that officially. I'm going to be honest about it.
Okay.
We haven't said those
That's
words.
fine.
But we have made those calls which
All right.
are pro-Palestinian calls.
I think that's
Having
fair.
been there 3 times, Yusuf.
We'll move on.
Having been there 3
We'll move on.
times,
That's
there
fine.
are 2 systems of
That's
legality. There's no other way to describe it.
Okay, that's fine. I'll have to move on to you. Nazir, have I been
No,
unfair?
before you ask your question, only the EFF wants the end of the apartheid Israeli
Time's up.
state and the return of all Palestinian lands. The DA and the ANC both support a 2-state solution. The EFF wants a 1-state solution, the return of all Palestinian lands, and the end of apartheid Israeli state.
Can I just say that
Everyone gets an answer on my question. Just be fair.
the president,
Everyone gets an answer on my question.
It's
but
my
I don't
turn,
get an
Brother
answer on
Yusuf.
their question.
It is my
Please,
turn.
In the format of the debate, you must
Don't allow you to,
You must
don't
be
allow
fair,
yourself
please.
to be oppressed by
Everyone
Yusuf
can't get an
Kassim.
answer. I didn't get an answer on his question. I didn't get an answer on his question. You must be fair, please. Let's be fair. Please.
Okay. This round is complete now. This round is complete. We're going to the floor. But let me explain the rules. Wait, hold it. Put your hands down. I'm going to ask Faisal to come with the mic. He's not going to give you the mic, right? Because we don't want Juma talks. Wait. 1 minute. Whatever remaining points you want to make will come in the conclusion round, right? I'm talking to the panelists. We're going to take a few questions at a time. Let me see one ANC hand. Okay. One. Are you DA?
But you both have the same point.
Okay. Second and third. Right. I'm taking 3. Faisal. 1, 2, 3. And we'll try and give as many people a chance. But keep it to the point. 30 seconds.
You are the only
Bismillah.
party that will put a comprehensive boycott.
We'll come. We have to start somewhere. Right. No. Keep the mic in your hand.
Okay, got it. Is it on?
All right, just hold it for Abba and then she can ask a question there.
I'm speaking on behalf of community.
Okay, perfect.
So my question is, initial input by Maulana Rawat on behalf of Radio Islam has reference to the question. Okay, the initial input by Maulana Rawat on behalf of Radio Islam, you posed the question. So I need to know from all parties to refrain and stop reckless use of social grants, specifically the old age, to build fears mischievously by instilling, as in the past elections, with fear-mongering for votes. My experience with Jackson's RIF workers in the 80s, I understand the equality of grants now. So I don't want to have disturbances. Do not sow seeds of dissent by using this campaign methodology, like Radio Islam posed the question. Will all present listeners and viewers ensure that every citizen of the state take responsibility for the threats posed by fear-mongering? Ours is still, after 25 years, a participative development democracy, not just about elective democracy.
Okay, shukran. Right, the second hand there.
Okay, you got 30 seconds.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fatima Ghani. My question is to the DA. I'd like you to talk about the multi-million rand communications tender awarded to TBWA Hunt Lascaris, where Ryan Kutsia, Zilla's right hand, has been implicated. I wanted you to talk about the Eden District Council and the reinstatement of the municipal manager after he was dismissed for gross financial misconduct. And I want you to talk about the 48 cases of irregular expenditure amounting to 55 million rand identified in a recent report by the Auditing General. And I want you to talk about the accusations against George municipality.
Shukran. Next.
Auditor General.
EFF. One
All right,
You have
you
to
got
say where
30
auditor
seconds.
doesn't give you a report.
Mandla. My question is straight to DA. Ne? I have seen your billboard, DA, that you are saying, stop the EFF and the ANC. Can you elaborate more? What do you mean about that? Also, to my understanding, you are stopping a moving vehicle. It means that you as a DA, you are there to stop us to move. So we need that you to elaborate more. Another thing to the DA, there is a question of you declining numbers, and you are saying it's not a failure. That is a total failure in politics.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yusuf, both questions are to you, right? So quick responses, Shukran, before we go to the next round.
Okay, let me just answer quickly on the first question, Maulana. If any issue, and this is where I agree with Ibrahim Rasool, anything that is investigated, there's an investigation. If there's an allegation, there's an investigation. Based on that investigation, charges are then laid, and then an organization then takes action. We did the same thing with Patricia de Lille in the city of Cape Town. There was multiple investigations. Any other allegation, we launch internal investigations, and there are investigations by bodies like the Auditor General, Chapter 9 institutions, etc. and so forth, or councils then launch investigations. We have a track record. Wherever there are recommendations, we follow those recommendations. We don't ignore them. If there are people that need to lose their jobs, they will lose their jobs. If there are individuals that are reinstated, ordinarily it is because there are labor relations processes that reinstate individuals. You don't, as a politician, reinstate an individual. It is labor relations processes that reinstate. On the question on stop the EFF and the ANC, it's a very specific message. That if you allow the ANC and the EFF to get a 2/3 majority in this election, they're already speaking about coalitions. I can see by their similar behavior that they're already preparing for that coalition. If they get a 2/3 majority, Maulana.
Quiet! Silence!
Maulana, if they get a 2/3 majority, not only will they tamper with property rights in the constitution, already they want to prescribe that your pensions must be used to bail out the looting in state-owned entities. It's only a matter of time before anything else can be expropriated from hard-working individuals like your pensions, like your own pensions, in order to bail out the looting of the ANC and the EFF are going to join them. That's what we mean by stop the ANC and the EFF.
Thank you. Right. I'm going to look at some hands here. One hand here. Okay, let's take this three in the front, then we'll go to the back. Please keep it to the point, right?
Okay, you got 30 seconds.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rashida Landis. My question is to Ibrahim Rasool. I'd like to know, what did Ramaphosa do and Makurudu about the Esther Demeni saga, Marikana saga, where they murdered and killed our children.
Please, man.
Up until
Let her finish.
today,
Let her finish.
Here in Johannesburg, Gauteng, the Premier didn't face us once. He didn't come out once to the community to address the issue. Ramaphosa, the Big Six, was at Tuli House. No one came to see us.
Okay, shukran.
Thank you.
Next question.
Okay, you got 30 seconds.
Assalamu alaikum. My
Salam.
name is Issa Dos Santos. Brother Yusuf, I've got two questions. Number one, the city of Johannesburg was taken over by
Quiet.
the DA minority party in 2016 and uncovered almost 23 billion rand of corruption from the previous ANC administration. What is your view on that? Secondly, the pro-Palestinian groups are very much aligned to the ANC, yet the ANC have the power nationally to cut ties with Israel, but yet they don't seem to do that. What
Okay,
is your view on
shukran.
that?
Third question. Third question.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shakira Chunara. My question is for Brother Ibrahim and Brother Nazir. You speak about segregation being violent, yet both of you made comments that the DA is an apartheid party and the DA is opposed to building masjids. Yet the DA is the only party, and I speak as a mu'min, as a representative, which is a believer of the DA, when we say that we stand for one nation. Team One South Africa is not just a cute slogan. So tell me, your stance before an election is to divide and control. How do you propose after the elections to unite like we're supposed to? Because we understand as Muslims that the Christians are followers of Isa alayhi salam. Jews are our Jew brothers and sisters are the followers of Musa alayhi salam. So to win this election, how you obviously using the DA as
Okay, point taken. Shukran. Ibrahim, I'm going to start with you. There were two questions posed to you. If you can address both. Ibrahim Rasool.
Let me just say.
Hold the mic closer, but so they can.
Yeah. Let me just say that both the Esidimeni and the Marikana episodes are blotches on our history, and I think certainly we have heard the hearings and we have court rulings in that matter, and we must do what must be done. What we must not do is to cause a secondary massacre by exploiting the suffering of people in the way that I think people are trying to do at this moment. I do want to say secondly that the DA, 55 mosques have been waiting since 2013 in DA-run areas in Cape Town for planning approvals. I want to say that the Pinelands Mosque, for example, a DA supporter was saying, we can't allow that because this is Islamic howling, and next we will see ISIS come in. In the Bayview Mosque, the DA administration cut the muaddin and replaced it by a beep because it was noise pollution until the MJC stepped in and got the matter right again. So the fact of the matter is, the DA caused it and the DA solved it. It's very interesting, Brother Yusuf, that when DA people are implicated, you want a rule of law. When ANC people are implicated, you want a lynching. I think that is what you are saying to us about all these cases of the DA. And then I want to end by saying that the ANC remains committed to Palestinian representation for as long as there is a possibility of a two-state solution, and that possibility is fast declining today. And so the idea of recalling the ambassador and downgrading the embassy is the right move at this time.
Right. Quiet. Nazir, there was a question posed to you as well as the ANC about this divide and control approach. Quick response.
Shukran very much, Maulana. The way to build a non-racist society is to confront racism head on and to point out where it does occur. You're not going to build a non-racist society by shying away when racism occurs. And on the other hand, look at you, for example, on the streets. Here, you are black, Indian, but in Parliament, the DA is mostly white. If you look at the EFF, that's us in Parliament. The very same thing.
Okay.
Those are the people.
in addition to that, the city of Cape Town under the DA is still developed along apartheid spatial planning. Apartheid in Cape Town under the DA is alive and well. There are separate developments for African, colored and white. Apartheid is alive under the DA, and if you ever want to go back to apartheid, then you must vote DA. But if you want to build a non-racist South Africa, then you've got to vote the EFF.
Shukran. Okay, thank you. Right, and there's still one question remaining. Yusuf, there was a question to the DA that was posed about the 23 billion.
There were two questions, yeah.
And the one about the pro-Palestinian
Yes,
groups, the relationship with that. Go for it.
Thank you very much, Malana. I know the time is a virtue, so I'm going to try and answer them very quickly. Both of this exposes the...
Silence. Let's give him a chance to speak. Let's give him a chance to speak. Go for it, Yusuf.
Both on the Palestinian issue and on the issue of masajids, which I see Ibrahim Rasool has now resorted to the same fitna that my brother here was talking about, exposes the hypocrisy of the ANC. It really does. The ANC will march in the streets and say, boycott Israel. When they have the power in parliament to implement a boycott, why are they marching in the streets? It exposes the hypocrisy of the ANC. The ANC says,
Silence.
The ANC, please, can I answer the question, Malana?
Yeah. Silence.
The ANC points fingers at the DA. When there's a masajid application under an ANC government, instead of solving the issue, they will point the finger at the ward councillor as if the ward councillor can solve the issue. They cannot. When we came into government, we're not going to point fingers on masajids. We're going to help our community. Please give me a chance to answer the question. Please give me a chance. Here in the city of Johannesburg, Molana, we didn't just sit back. Please answer the question.
Silence. Okay, Yusuf, wrap up.
Please, we didn't just sit back and point fingers on masajids. We actually did something to change it. We launched a masajid help desk. Maulana Amin from Maresburg is the Amir of the masajid help desk. Yes, Councillor Abdurazak Nurbai, he launched the masajid help desk. We made sure that these issues of objections not done by DA members are being resolved under the DA government. In Florida, by the way, please, Maulana, in Florida they were waiting for 16 years, Ibrahim Rasool, under Pakistan. For 16 years they were waiting for the masajid, and we are currently helping them with the masajid. So we must stick to facts. When there are objections, we resolve it. You guys want to point fingers, and that doesn't resolve it.
Those objectives come largely in the DA ward.
They are not. Just because they're in the DA ward doesn't mean they're DA members.
No parking.
Be honest. Be honest. DA ward doesn't mean they're DA members. Be honest.
Thank you.
It does not make them DA members, Mulana.
Solving a problem that you caused in the first place.
Right. Look, as I said, 1 minute. As I said, each point of discussion warrants an hour on its own, right? So the panelists will have an opportunity to mention more in their closing remarks. Okay, I see the gentleman with the black kurta, I see the gentleman with the ANC t-shirt, and I see the gentleman with the DA t-shirt here. Faisal, 1, 2, 3.
You got 30 seconds.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shabir Valley. I'd like to pose a question to the DA. We were told by our father of the nation, Dr. Nelson Mandela, that a country cannot be free without being free altogether. Now, we got our freedom. What about the freedom of the Palestinians? And look at it from this point of view. What had happened to you people at the DA, where you play double standards everywhere, wherever you go? Your perception of life is totally incorrect.
Okay.
You are playing double in a manner in which you go there and you stand next to the man who is the result of the problems that is happening in our country today and throughout the world.
Okay, thank you.
No Jewish.
Thank you.
It is not acceptable.
Thank you.
in Islam.
Thank you. The gentleman here with the glass. Next to Kishore Badal. Next to Kishore. Silence.
Okay, you got 30 seconds.
Okay, just a question to the ANC and the EFF. We all know that the most important issue in the elections is jobs. and the creation of jobs. That is a known fact that it is the most important issue. So I just want to ask Ibrahim Rasool, today is Workers' Day, with 10 million unemployed people, which is more than the USA and Germany has combined. Is today a day of celebration or a day of mourning? And the second question to the EFF is, can you give me an example of any country in the world where your policies have worked to increase employment and increase the life and make a better life for people? Because when I look at your policies, I see Venezuela, Zimbabwe, and Cuba.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the gentleman there with the black cap. Yes. Yes. No. The one behind. I'll come back to you. No, Yusuf Faisal.
Okay. All right. 30 seconds.
Next round. Okay. Carry on.
Thank you very much. I believe the point has been made here, and the DA has been agreed that Israel is an apartheid state. And I want to ask from the DA, who's the beneficiary? Secondly, is the issue of this one that has been in court 3 days ago. What are you saying about the apartheid flag? Lastly, I believe you're coming here with the half-baked truth. It is not true that the DA left power in the Nelson Mandela Bay. But the DA, what he has done, it went to court. After coming from court, they decided, no, you didn't decide. You have been kicked out of power just because you are incapable of managing the Nelson Mandela Bay.
Okay, thank you.
In Nelson Mandela Bay, people are dying there.
Thank you.
Then you want
Faisal, come here in front. The brother here, the brother with the EFF shirt. All right. Quickly, quiet.
30 seconds. Okay, 1 minute.
Amandla, the issue of Israel and Palestine has been roaming around, and then I know that the position of Yusuf, where is even if he can say they are sympathetic with a Palestinian, it doesn't carry a weight. Can I ask him politely that can Maimane, as a president of a DA, come to the national television or ever and stand up and say, I'm against what is happening in Palestine? Then we can take it.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll come back to the others. Let's just quickly get some answers here. Ibrahim Rasool, you can go first.
Just very quickly, I think that clearly jobs is the most important one. I think that we have a president who in his first year has raised 290 billion rands worth of investments. I think that we have seen the beginning of confidence returning to our country, and we are hoping that following Nissan, we will have many other examples. We have Amazon coming and so forth. I think we will begin to see, but let us put jobs into perspective. 25 years ago, just over 6 million people were employed in the economy. 25 years later today, 17 million people are working every day, plus the others that are in extended public works programs, etc. I just want to respond quickly. You know, having been in diplomacy, president to presidents, heads of state, when they meet at the United Nations, that's what they do. They shake hands.
Okay.
And this is what they do. No. There is a difference between party-to-party relationships when Musi Maimane, not as a government head, but as a political party head, goes and shakes hands. Secondly, I just want Yusuf to answer very easily. If the DA were to come to power, would they again upgrade the relationship with Israel, and would they return the ambassador to Israel?
Thank you.
That is the test of what they will
Yusuf,
do. And can you speak on
Sure,
that?
thank you. Let me answer that question, please, Mulana, because it seems as if Brother Ibrahim is not being completely honest here. They had every opportunity diplomatically. You were a diplomat. They had every opportunity to hurt the state of Israel diplomatically. Withdrawing an ambassador does not hurt the state of Israel in the slightest. All that it does, and we've criticized it, by the way, we're not shy about it. All that it does is that it ensures that when you and I, Brother Ibrahim, want to go and visit Aqsa, or if my colleague wants to go and visit the Church of Holy Sepulchre, there is no South African ambassador in Tel Aviv that is going to assist us with our issues. It's a cheap political stunt before an election, and it does nothing for the Palestinian people. It really doesn't.
Okay.
No, I've answered your question, but let me answer the other questions, Maulana.
Quickly.
The brother from the EFF asks me,
Silence.
He says, it's all good and well for you, Brother Yusuf, to condemn the atrocities of the State of Israel. Why hasn't Musi Maimani done it? And he has done it. He's done it publicly. He did it on your show, Molana, when you were interviewing him. He spoke about his meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. He said that he had spoke to him about the atrocities committed by the State of Israel. I heard the podcast. He's done it on public radio. He's done it on his Twitter account. What more does he have to do before, if it doesn't suit your narrative, if truth can hit you in the face, you might not accept it.
Okay.
But just because it doesn't suit your narrative, people don't spread it.
Nazir,
the third question.
Very quickly.
The third question, and I reiterate it, Maulana. The DA took very clear positions. We're not going to play politics with our Palestinian brothers and sisters like the ANC does. But we've taken very clear positions. The right of return of refugees, the end of the occupation, the end of the siege, the withdrawal of illegal settlements, and Jerusalem as a shared capital. These are the demands of the Palestinian people, which we have supported.
Thank you. Nazir, there was a question posed to you there about, can you give any examples of where your policies have worked?
Shukran so much.
Silence. Okay. Silence. Right, carry on.
The first part of the question was about jobs, and jobs is a critical part of our manifesto, because every aspect of our manifesto includes jobs. And we know that the way to address jobs is first and foremost to inward industrialize. And to do this, we are going to promote special economic zones where we will give incentives to employers who employ more than 2,000 people on a full-time basis, with proper salaries, proper employee benefits, special tax incentives for them to do so. So that would also encourage investment as well. In addition to that, development finance institutions would have to incubate and assist more than 30,000 small and medium enterprises, and that would help create jobs and stimulate the economy as well. As far as where have our policies worked, well, our policies will work wherever imperialist forces don't go and try and destroy those countries like they're doing with Venezuela, like they've done with Cuba. Cuba has got the best health system in the world. Even first world countries cannot give such a health system and that type of health care to ordinary people.
Thank you.
So where does it work? It will work here in South Africa as well.
All right. Listen, people. We were supposed to have finished the debate at 12. It's already 12:05, right? But I'm going to just go with 3 more questions because we started a bit late. Abdul Razak Nurbai has had his hands up. Mangera had his hands up. And I'm going to take the brother there at the back. 3, right? Come. They got a chance.
Thank you.
Quickly.
Thank you, and shukran for the debate to Radio Islam and ITV. My question goes to Brother Ibrahim Rasool. And I have the Hansard report here with me, in case if anybody wants to dispute it. The ANC, under the Civil Unions Bill, legalized same-gender marriages and abortion. 8 Muslim member of parliaments from the African National Congress, and one of them being the late Imam Hassan Solomons. 3 weeks ago, Brother Enver Surti, Minister of Higher Deputy Education, I posed this question to him and he evaded it at the Nosarka Foundation. He eventually tried to answer it, but he evaded it. 8 Muslim MPs endorsed that bill. So they've legalized abortion and same-gender marriages, and they violated the ahkams of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
All right, point taken.
Now the ANC wants to legalize prostitution. What is the Muslim MP stance on it? And I'm saying this because the ACDP and the IFP abstained on that bill. The DA allowed the councillors a vote of conscience.
Okay, thank you.
Why did Muslim MPs endorse that bill? There are hundreds of Muslim girls that's having abortions. Shukran.
All right, okay. Right, wait. I'm going to try and see how many we can get in, right? But just bear with me. The brother there in the green shirt, Mangera, if you can just come there, right? I'll take 2 or 3 more. Come, one. You come. One EFF. EFF, send one. I'm just trying to coordinate this, right? Wait, just wait. Wait. No. The brother in the green shirt, Brother Mangera, the EFF, send one. Send one. Send one person this side. Faisal, come here. Send him. Just wait. 1 minute. 1 minute. Wait. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. Right? The brother in the green shirt, Brother Mangera, the lady from the EFF, and the two of you, right? Let's just wait. Let's just get through this quickly. Very quickly, to the point. Very quickly. I'm going to insist.
Can I just ask the DA representative, what does the filth in Mayfair have to do with apartheid legacy? And then secondly, how much do you spend in Lenasia versus Houghton?
Thank you. Mangera.
Thank you. So there are almost 5 million young people in the country who aren't going to be voting this year. And there's many reasons for that. One, representation. I think analyzing the manifestos, you know, the DA is anti-black, the EFF and ANC sort of have some plan, but young people still find that they aren't represented by political parties. So what plans do you have to get young people involved in the economy and just basically inspire confidence in young
people? Thank you. Sister from the EFF, quickly, shorter.
Mina, my question is, why is it so hard for the ANC to hold people accountable? People who you know very well that are corrupt. You keep on bringing them back to the leadership. So I want to know, why is it so hard to hold them accountable?
Okay, thank you. Next, brother.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm a neutral person.
Silence.
My concern is not so much the Palestinian issue, but I'm from a citizen of Lenasia, and I want my question is related to the government, the ANC. You speak about the Palestinians being prisoners. I live in Lenasia. I'm a prisoner. Crime is out of control. You speak about a better life for all. I have a really shitty life here, and so does the rest of the people. There's nyaupes on the street. Electricity is out of control. The bullying is out of control. There's many issues here in Indonesia. You claim a better life for all. You claim a good story to tell. Really, this is a cock story. How do you justify that?
Okay. Right. Right.
Good morning to you.
This will be the last three now, right? The last three. Quickly.
Good morning. My name is David Lucas. My question is going to be to the EFF and the ANC. Two questions. Number one, quickly. Land expropriation with compensation. You passed the bill for the traditional land and chiefs, right? The ADA voted against it because it's a flawed bill. It doesn't respect the rights of the indigenous people of this country, the Khoisan people. That's number one. Number two, it is great to stand here and say about racism, but let's talk about religion as well. How many councillors are the EFF and the ANC have in the city of Johannesburg that are Muslim?
Okay.
I'm Christian, but I'm asking you the question.
Thank
Please
you.
Answer it.
This quickly, right?
So this is just a quick question to the ANC. Why is it that ANC, you are continuing to lie to people when we know in Johannesburg that it was the EFF that advocated for the insourcing of security guards? But in your advert, you are claiming it's and saying it's you. So
Thank you.
You are continuing to lie.
This question here is for the DA. The DA is contradicting themselves when it comes to land expropriation. Why are you developing squatter camps if you are against it, particularly Meriting? Why are you doing that? And then another question is, why are you hiring the youth according to race?
Okay, thank you. Right, Nazir, I will give you a chance to respond to whatever is. You go first.
Was it last question for me, hiring youth?
No, to the DA.
Oh, okay. All right, the first question was...
Quiet.
5 million young people that are not registered to vote. Well, that number could have been substantially higher if it wasn't for the EFF. It is the EFF that are bringing the youth to the voting booth. No one else. There's no other political party in South Africa that appeals to the youth as much as the EFF. Our policies on fee-free higher education, our policies on jobs is what is taking the youth to the polls. So thankfully, to the young brother there, I think because of the EFF, young people will be going to vote. Even those that are voting age.
Anything else you want to respond to that came from the floor?
In terms of land expropriation, land has to be expropriated. How else are we going to address one of the biggest inequalities of the past? The fact that people were dispossessed for centuries. It has to be expropriated and it has to be redistributed fairly to everyone who needs it.
Okay, shukran. Yusuf, whatever comments and questions came from the floor, if you could quickly address it.
Thank you very much, Maulana. I want to say to the brother who referenced Fordsburg, etc. We've got the councillor for Fordsburg present here at the back of the hall, Councillor Mohammed Christians. When we took over the city of Johannesburg, you won't believe the type of backlogs that we had to deal with. Mayor Parkstar was very good at putting up posters about a world-class African city, but not in dealing with the maintenance and the backlogs in the city. And we had to stabilize. We had to stabilize, pick it up. We had to stabilize the waste management in the city. And we're making progress. We've started by reviving the inner city, demolishing buildings that have been there for years and years and years, that have been a stain on that community. And in Fordsburg, I promise you, brother, it's going to take time. It's taken 2 years, but we are making progress in that respect. In terms of young people in the economy, the Democratic Alliance...
Get him.
The Democratic Alliance has made an offer to South Africans to say that it's not just about higher education and universities and TVET colleges. We've got hundreds of thousands of our children and our brothers and sisters that cannot access universities and TVET colleges. Not everyone will be able to. We have proposed a 1-year voluntary national service where every single young person will be able to gain a skill. Because we need a skills revolution in this country for young people, where every young person can get a skill and can get work experience at the same time. And when they come out of that, Maulana, they'll be able to either get employment or be funded for their small businesses and be able to create a future for them and their families.
Shukran. Ibrahim, the questions and comments that came from the floor, I can't repeat his language because I'm a Maulana, you know, but I think you got the gist of what he was saying.
Thank you very much. Let me say I was not in Parliament, but I was part of a group of very conscientious Muslims who gave up their lives in struggle, who went to jail, went into exile, and really thought hard about the questions which were confronting them. I want to say to you that those people who voted for those bills are people who worked hard between whether you want to stop, for example, a civil contract or a civil marriage. The difference is that when you speak the language of a civil marriage, you speak divine language. When you speak the language of a civil contract, you speak ordinary mu'amalat language, and anyone can enter into contracts with anyone else without getting the sanctity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into the matter, and that's how people voted. In much the same way, a fundamental question on the issue of termination of pregnancies. At what stage, for example, in the Quran, does it say, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحٍ, and then I blow off my spirit into you? Is there life before the spirit is blown in, or is there life after the spirit has blown in? This is the depth of conversation and debate and discussion that was held. And therefore, I think that what we are dealing with is not simply a matter that you can deal with in the way that you deal with as we speak here. Secondly, on the next question, the brother who says that he's got, and I'll put it in civil language, who has a tough life. I want to say to you, if you think you have a tough life now, in Cape Town, the DA has not spent 2.1 billion of the Urban Settlement Development Grant, which is meant to upgrade informal settlements and to thin out the backyards, and the housing waiting list over 10 years has grown from 400,000 to 600,000 in a matter of 10 years under DA government. Secondly,
silence.
If you think that is water in the Western Cape using the Tony Leon the scare tactic of day zero. I didn't do this when you spoke.
Quiet.
When you speak about that, the water in the Western Cape has increased by 600% in some cases, meaning that people even have water arrears of R1 million, 850.
All right.
If you
Shukran.
think life is tough
Shukran.
here, think about that, because here at least the indigent policy may
Shukran.
be applied.
Shukran.
And then the last question that was asked to me,
silence,
is the issue of traditional lands. You know, in the Western Cape, out of the Bull Club and the River Club, the DA is known as the Developers Alliance, because the gentrification of the Bull Club, and last night the Minister Natim Tetwa had intervened to declare serious sites of the Bull Club as heritage sites which can't be touched. And we are in court today with the DA to stop the development of the Two Rivers Ocean Club, because the remains of the Khoisan who had died in colonial battles are being developed on hotels and so forth and so forth. So I think that needs to be put on
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, people, a lot has been said. Okay, all right. A lot has been said. A lot could have been said, right? It's up to you, the voters, in the end of the day, what you believe, what you don't believe, what makes sense to you, what doesn't make sense to you. However, I'm going to give the panelists, all right, Ibrahim and Yusuf, Shukran. All right, we'll resolve that after. Yusuf, Ibrahim, all right, okay. We'll resolve it over lunch. Right. You see, obviously these issues are very complex, they're very nuanced, they have detail. We ask questions very quickly, quiet. So I'm going to give now each party representative 2 minutes to speak uninterrupted in terms of their concluding remarks. They can say whatever they want to say, they can respond to whatever they feel they needed to respond to. Maybe the comments of each other, the comments from the floor, or even previous questions where they feel they needed to add more detail. So I'm going to start with Nazir Paulson from the EFF. The buzzer will be there. You have 2 minutes uninterrupted. Speak whatever you want to speak as your concluding remarks.
Shukran so much, Maulana.
Let's maintain silence, please, for this last final round, so we give them an opportunity. They've come from far. None of the 3 here reside in Lenasia. They've taken effort. They've come from far. Let them have, they say, ultimately, when you're in the ballot, you'll decide who you want to vote for. But give them an opportunity to speak.
25 years is a very long time. 25 years where the ANC has underdeveloped most parts of this country where black people live, and 25 years where we've been denied dignified lives because of lack of jobs, lack of land. So 25 years into democracy, it took everything the ANC does, whether it's land expropriation, whether it's recalling the ambassador from apartheid Israel, is a knee-jerk reaction to what the EFF proposes. So land expropriation is an EFF policy adopted by the ANC. Just like here in Johannesburg and in Tshwane, where the DA governs, they are proxy governments because they will introduce policies approved by the EFF. Those are proxy governments. Only the EFF, it is only the EFF that can fully support the working class in this country and lead the working class in this country, because neither the ANC or the DA have put the working class first in this country. We have made sure that cleaners are insourced in Tshwane and security guards are insourced in Johannesburg. Those are not DA policies. So we will always put the working class first. Today being Workers' Day, you must know it is only one party that can truly represent the working class in government, and the majority of the people of this country are working class. I look forward on the 8th of May when the workers of this country will overwhelmingly vote in the EFF as the government, and the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF, Julius Malema, as the President of South Africa. Amandla.
Thank you. Yusuf Qasim of the DA, thank you.
Thank you very much, Maulana. Inequality today, according to the Gini coefficient, income inequality is higher today than what it was in '94. I think that's an indictment on the efforts that have been made by the ruling party to redress the legacies of apartheid. The DA has shown that it is the only party with a track record of good governance. Out of the top 20 best governed municipalities in the country, 15 of them are governed by the DA or a DA coalition. In the worst 20 governed municipality, there's not a single one DA governed municipality. You've got ANC municipalities and
Silence.
IP municipalities in that list. We have shown where we govern. Let's take away all the lies and the fitna, as my brother Nazir puts it. We've shown where we govern that we grow employment. Employment grew the fastest in the Western Cape in the last 10 years under the DA, as opposed to any other province in the country. And we have the highest access to basic services and free basic services. When we go to the polls, we must put the lies aside. We must make sure that we focus on which party can actually deliver, has shown that it delivers on the promises that we make, and which party that wants to convince us that they're going to clean up the same mess that they caused over the last 10 years. There's only one party that can do that, Maulana, and that is the Democratic Alliance.
Okay, thank you. Just before I go to Ibrahim Rasool, because I know once he concludes, everyone is going to erupt in singing and, applauding, and there's going to be a lot of noise from the respective political supporters. So I just want to do the vote of thanks quickly. Ibrahim Rasool, Yusuf Kassim, Nazir Paulson, we really appreciate your time and the effort, and all the best to all of you and your parties for the elections. Yusuf Ismail, thank you for coming through all the way from Durban. And Maulana Habib Bobat and the entire team that has worked with a great effort to put this together. And also to all of you, I think the great positive we can take out today is that as South Africans we can sit here and have a robust discussion, and we don't have to worry that anyone is going to take our lives or going to threaten us in any way. This is the strength of our democracy. We will now conclude with the ANC's concluding remarks.
Thank you very much. Can I say that because this is a Radio Islam debate?
Thank you.
We have always taken our cue over the last 50 years of struggle and democracy.
Silence.
From the clear instruction of the Quran that says Allah does not forbid you from supporting those who do not fight you for your religion, do not drive you from your homes, and do not help others to drive you from your homes. This is a very important set of criteria. It doesn't go into too much detail, but it says that if there is a party that is able to help Muslims to secure their religion, live their faith, and practice it freely without impediments, you've got to support it, whether here or in Palestine. If there is those who have thrown you out of your houses, don't allow you in, whether here or in Palestine, you've got to support that party. I want to say that the president of the Muslim Judicial Council had received a letter 2 days ago from parties in Palestine that says, this is not only your election. You may have issues, but your election must also be an election for Palestine, and therefore it's unthinkable that Muslims can vote for parties that support Israel, especially the Democratic Alliance. I want to say that we are asking you to strengthen the mandate of President Ramaphosa in order that we clean up the ANC, renew the ANC and the country, grow the economy, grow the jobs, because only we will govern on the 9th. And the level of governance will depend on the mandate that is received. That is what we need to be able to do. I do want to end. Whatever problems we have, they are not worse than it's ever been under apartheid. That everything that we must appreciate, maybe we've grown up with 3 taps, 4 taps and 5 taps, we cannot appreciate 1 tap. We've got to be able to have an empathy for those who continue to support the ANC, and so our mutual security grows. I want to say to you, you've got to vote for the African National Congress on the 8th of May.
Thank you. Once again, thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to the ITV crew, to the Radio Islam crew, and to all of you. Good afternoon.